The message was never meant to be sent, and yet it changed everything. At exactly 11:47 p.m., while the city slept and the glow of his phone lit up the tired lines on his face, Daniel stared at the screen in disbelief. His heart dropped so hard it felt like it echoed in his chest. The words were still there, impossible to erase, sitting in a quiet chat bubble like a ticking bomb. "My boss is so hot." For a few frozen seconds, his brain refused to accept the truth. Then he saw the name at the top of the screen. Not his friend Mike, not the group chat where jokes lived and died harmlessly. It was her, his boss. The woman who signed his paychecks, trusted him with responsibility, and had no idea that a single dad with sleepless eyes and a cracked heart had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Daniel was a single father who carried exhaustion like a second skin. His mornings began before sunrise, with cereal bowls and missing socks, school lunches packed in silence, and a small hand gripping his as they crossed the street. His nights ended long after his son fell asleep. When the apartment grew quiet and the weight of the day finally caught up with him, life had not turned out the way he once imagined. He used to believe love was permanent and effort was enough. Then came the divorce, the empty side of the bed, and the responsibility of becoming both mother and father to a 7-year-old boy named Ethan. Work was the one place he tried to keep control. He needed the job, needed the stability. He worked at a mid-sized marketing firm, not glamorous, not terrible, just enough to keep the lights on and food on the table. His boss, Claire, was everything he wasn't. Calm, confident, sharp. She walked into rooms like she belonged there, like the world had already agreed to make space for her. She was kind, but professional, warm without crossing lines. And yes, she was beautiful in a way that felt effortless. The kind that didn't ask for attention but received it anyway. Daniel never planned to notice her the way he did. It just happened slowly, in stolen glances during meetings, in the way she remembered details about his son, in the way she spoke to him like he mattered beyond his productivity. He never flirted, never crossed boundaries. His admiration lived quietly in his head, locked away behind responsibility and fear. The text he meant to send Mike was nothing more than a tired, half-joking confession. The kind men make two friends when loneliness hits hardest. Now it sat in Claire's inbox. Panic flooded him. His fingers hovered over the screen. Useless. Apologies formed and collapsed in his mind. Anything he sent now would only confirm what she already saw. His chest tightened as worst-case scenarios played on repeat. Getting fired, losing the job, letting Ethan down. He imagined packing up his desk under the polite smiles of coworkers who would pretend not to know why he was leaving. Sleep never came that night. He lay awake listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the soft breathing from Ethan's room, wondering how one careless second could undo years of trying to hold his life together. By morning, his phone was still silent. No response. No acknowledgement. Just the unbearable weight. At work, the air felt heavier. Every email notification made his stomach flip. He avoided eye contact, kept his head down, and tried to disappear into spreadsheets and deadlines. When Claire finally asked him to come to her office, his legs felt weak. This was it. He straightened his shirt, took a deep breath, and walked in ready to accept whatever came. Claire was sitting at her desk, her expression unreadable. She gestured for him to sit. The silence stretched longer than necessary, and Daniel's heart pounded so loud he was sure she could hear it. He opened his mouth to apologize, to explain, to beg, if he had to. Before he could speak, she surprised him. She smiled, softly, not amused, not offended, just human. She told him she knew the message wasn't meant for her. She said mistakes happen. She said she appreciated his honesty, even accidental honesty, and that his work had always spoken louder than any text ever could. Daniel felt something loosen inside him, like a knot finally giving way. Relief washed over him, so strong it almost made him dizzy. But the conversation didn't end there. Claire asked how he was really doing, not the polite question people ask while already moving on, but the kind that waits for an answer. Daniel hesitated. No one ever asked him that. Not really. He thought of Ethan, of the empty apartment, of the nights he spent pretending he was fine. The words came out slowly, awkwardly, but once they started, they didn't stop. He talked about being tired, about feeling invisible, about carrying so much and never feeling like he could put it down. Claire listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She told him she admired how hard he worked, not just at the office, but at life. She shared that success didn't protect her from loneliness either, that leadership could be isolating, that being strong all the time came with a cost. That accidental text became a doorway neither of them expected. Over the following weeks, something shifted. Nothing inappropriate, nothing rushed, just understanding. Claire became more than his boss in the way that mattered most. She became someone who saw him. Daniel found himself standing taller, smiling more, believing again that he wasn't just surviving, but becoming someone his son could be proud of. At home, Ethan noticed the change first. His father laughed more. He came home with energy instead of silence. They cooked dinner together, talked about school, planned small adventures. Daniel realized how much of his life he'd been living on autopilot, afraid to hope because hope had hurt him before. Work improved too. Confidence replaced fear. Daniel spoke up in meetings, shared ideas he'd once kept to himself. His growth didn't go unnoticed. Opportunities opened, not because of a text, but because he finally believed he deserved more than just getting by. Time passed, and life unfolded gently, imperfectly, but honestly. Daniel learned that mistakes don't always destroy us. Sometimes they expose the truth we're too scared to say out loud. Sometimes they remind us that we're human, and being human means being seen, flaws and all. One evening after Ethan fell asleep, Daniel sat alone on the couch, thinking about how close he'd come to losing everything. He thought about the fear, the shame, the sleepless night that started it all. And he realized something powerful. That moment didn't ruin his life. It woke him up. Life doesn't change when everything goes right. It changes when we face what goes wrong and choose to grow instead of hide. Daniel learned that vulnerability isn't weakness, and kindness, whether given or received, has a way of finding us when we need it most. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that even our biggest mistakes can lead to unexpected grace, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel Kindness Talks, because stories like these matter. They remind us that redemption is possible, hope is real, and sometimes one accidental message can lead us exactly where we were meant to be.